Good morning, Deify here, and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo, where we are just perfectly and peachily on our way on the Hanako route, which is fantastic. We now get to keep this fantastic image, that one, right there. Yeah, I can figure out how to mirror my hands. We get to keep that one below my face for the rest of this series. Ooh, exciting. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't think any act is as long as Act 1, but I am very excited because I think I get to see my favorite cutscene in this game, in this episode, because all we gotta do, I believe, is get through the festival, which should be fine, but first, that means we gotta find Hanako. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. This is not surprising, since I'm standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I'm in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight, dark hair catching my eye. Is it Miki? Might be Miki, I think she has kind of dark hair. Hey, Hanako. Darn it, I should have guessed. I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition. Hisao? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh. Do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so... I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here, and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure. Let's go. That's actually a decent idea, Hisao. Proud of you. Normally visual novel protagonists do not know how to do the right thing, unless I tell them to. However, I do believe it is stated that once you are on the Hanako route, you make the fewest number of choices in the game, so we kinda lose the visual novel aspect, and it just becomes a... Well, no, I guess it still is a visual novel, but we lose it loses the gaminess and becomes more of a visual novel, but it's such a good story, I'll stick with it. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate, practiced movements. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there's barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know. It looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises in her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again. When... It's a game. Game? Yeah, Hisao, you're in one. Figure it out. Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor just looks like any other floor, covered in those tiles made up from squares of linoleum. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yeah? What about it? Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues, until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Sometimes this part always baffled me, because I'm like, Hisao, there's no way you didn't play that game. I'm pretty sure everyone plays that game. I still play that game. Also, when crossing crosswalks, sometimes I will make sure I only step on the white parts, because it's more legal that way. I don't know. Darker ones. Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Oh, right. So these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? She nods. Well, then no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I notice that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? You don't have to be lonely, it's called being a 7-year-old at some point in your life. This isn't complicated. Like, seriously. You just turn random things into game, like that old little like adage, like step on a crack, break your mother's back. Well, I followed that rule very much up from like first grade until, I mean, now I'll still avoid cracks if I can, just because. It's like, nah, and then I also, somewhere around like third grade, I turned it into a game where if you step over the crack with your right foot, you get points. If you step over it with your left, you don't get any. So I'd be doing like these weird stutter steps to make sure that I'd step over cracks with my right foot. And then if you step over multiple cracks in a single step with your right foot, it was like a multiplier. So like if one crack was worth 1 point, stepping over 2 would be worth 3. Something like that. So it's like, very cool. It's all you gotta do, Hisao. It's not a loneliness thing. Or is it? Was I lonely? Probably. But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clear the air is compared to back home. Would you like some tea? That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually, she places the small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. And because of that, you can forget about the outside. That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold a special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I'm garbage at it. That's me speaking, not Hisao. I take it you've played before? I can't think. Chess is like a thinking game where you're trying to think 10 steps ahead of your opponent. I can sometimes read half the board. I remember I was playing once. This wasn't even that long. This wasn't like, when I was a kid playing with my dad. This was in college. I made a move, and the person I was playing with was just like, why did you do that? Now I can put you in check. You should have taken this piece, and then I would have been in check. I'm like, shoot, man, I looked at the board, I saw the move I could make. Just, you're probably gonna win. Let's end it sooner rather than later. Put me in check. A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want... Sure. Why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. Also, I just had the crippling fear that my favorite cutscene is actually the cutscene leading into Act 3, and I really hope that's not the case. I don't know if there is a cutscene leading into Act 3. Actually, there might only be cutscenes going into their route, so it should be this one. I'm gonna hope it's this one. We arrange the pieces, and before long we're sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences. Nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate? You're not bad at this, are you? An honest appraisal. Her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. See, that's me if my technique were bad. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age. I guess not. Does Lily play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think about my question. A bit. This is the first time I've played against someone other than her, or... She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe. I will say, though, Hisao is fairly dense. This route's like, okay, maybe 5 out of 10 denses. The Emmy route. I love Emmy, I think she's adorable. By golly. 10 out of 10 density from Hisao in that route. The reason I like the Emmy route the least, actually second least, is because it's so obvious from the get-go, and Hisao does not figure it out until it is blatantly told to him, and you're like, come now. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? She asked as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gotten into her? Sure, but don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Same here. As we're setting up the pieces, there's a noise at the door. Oh gosh, Kenji! No, okay, we're good. Good afternoon. Lily. Oh, hey there, Lily. Are you finished? You both were here? Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much. We've just been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view on her face, but Lily can't see. I kinda think that we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course. With everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house? Oh, that's right. You probably don't know of it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's the Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table and our preemptive chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please, lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side, and we venture onto the school corridors. The pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors, and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. Insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd has faded to a murmur. Strange. I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now. Well, they're probably here to view the fireworks. Fireworks? Yes. Apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people come from town just to watch them. Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending on the school. Or ascending, as the case may be. For the second time since arriving at Yamaku, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now that I can barely hear the incessant noise of the festival do I realize how loud it was. I can hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona, just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it, as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we're returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we are still in school uniform. It's like hanging a sign around your neck, challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one who sees this as a stigma. Maybe you get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. Who knows? This is taking longer than I thought. We're like halfway done. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm jonesing for that cutscene. I hope I'm not hyping it up too much. It's short, but I love it. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside. Let's see. Can I read that kanji? Not as well as I would think. Is that Joe? Kai? It looks like above sea. But it's called Shanghai, so I wonder if... I don't know. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside. Just an ordinary building, with typical signs decorating the entrance. It looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought. Just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without ever knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booths around the walls. But the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Gee, what could be bubbling in a tea house? Gosh golly, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? Oh, good. The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside a booth. I wasn't asleep, and welcome to the Shanghai! Yuko, dressed in a pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her mislined glasses and ruffled hair cast suspicion on her previous statement. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps to my mind. You work here now? What happened to the library? What? Lily? Hisao? Welcome to the Shanghai! Yuko, still waking up, jerks into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process. My glasses! I can't see without my glasses! As I pick up her spectacles off the floor, Lily offers an explanation. Yuko works here part-time as well as at the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here. Really? Sounds like a strike to me. Yuko takes her glasses from my hands, shakily putting them back on. Yes, that's right. Thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There's no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like. But there may be a delay, as I'll have to make it myself. It's all right, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right. I'll get right on to that. Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us still standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us. I'm sorry. Please sit wherever you'd like. I'll be right back. Following her advice, I lead Lily to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lily, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-backed booths totally separate you from the rest of the room, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All the furnishings, from the cushions on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated, but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lily deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament. So, Hisao, I didn't know you played chess. Well, not very well, but I do know how to play. I suppose the obvious question would be, who won? Lily's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm lording my victory over Hanako. Hisao did. Yes, but not by much. Damn, saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible. Well done, Hisao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at. Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt good to play again. Yes, it did. Hanako fidgets with her hair and looks away as she replies, but a small smile emerges. It's a little more extreme of a reaction than I expected, but still kind of cute in that Hanako way. It throws me a little off guard, and only Yuko's cataclysmic re-entry shocks me back into conversation. Are you alright there, Yuko? Do you need a hand? I'm fine. I have to do this properly. It's my job. Concentration plays across her face while she stares at the tray in her hands, as if simply looking at its contents will hold them in place. Sadly, this doesn't prove all that effective. The cups and saucers slowly dance around, occasionally clattering as they collide with one another. Taking great care, Yuko sets the tray down on the table with only the subtlest of crashes. There! See? Well done? Thank you, Yuko. Yuko's head rockets downwards in her distinctive bow before answering. You're very welcome! Would you like to join us? There's something else I'd like to discuss about that recent order, if I may. Ah, that's right. Lily and Yuko were discussing a pile of books when I first met Hanako. Something about Lily helping with the Braille. Yes. We didn't get the chance to go through them, did we? Yuko hastily sits down next to Hanako. Apparently her dedication to this job only goes as far as her concentration. Once it's broken, she suddenly loses it. I'll be in the library tomorrow afternoon if you'd like to try again. That sounds perfect. I'll meet you there after classes. Lily? Oh dear. That's right. Tomorrow is Monday. How could I have forgotten? I'm starting to feel a little left out of the loop here. Then again, that's to be expected. I've been here for barely a week, so it's impossible to know everyone's schedule. Well, perhaps we could come to some other arrangement. Yuko, will you be in the library later this week? Maybe, but this is already overdue. And there are some things I need. Oh, this might be a problem. Lily ponders for a second before discovering the answer. I wonder, might we be able to enlist the help of another, if need be? To do what? You lost me quite some time ago. Being volunteered for something without even having the slightest idea what is going on isn't really my thing. And here I thought I had finally escaped the clutches of the student council in their repeated attempts to recruit me. Oh, of course. The other day I was helping Yuko sort the new Braille books in the library. But Hanako and I usually go shopping on Monday afternoons. It's quieter on that day than on weekends. Last week we couldn't go because I was busy with the festival. I managed to slip away later in the week, but Hanako couldn't make it. Well, since I can't read Braille, I'm assuming you'd like me to go shopping with Hanako. Correct. You were a great help to me the other day. I think I can handle that. Hanako, what do you think? If you wouldn't mind. Of course not. I'm still not familiar with all the stores in the area, so it sounds like a good idea. Okay. Well, now that we have that arranged, shall we have some tea? It's now that I realize our tea has been sitting idly by all this time, getting no hotter. In fact, quite the opposite. Getting cooler. Tea is magical. Oh, it's my fault. Let me pour that for you. Yuko reaches out with shaking hands, but I intercept her. She looks in no state to be handling hot liquids. It's alright. I've got it. Since you've already made the tea and sandwiches, you've fulfilled your waitress duties, right? I guess. Yuko relaxes a little, but still watches eagerly as I share out the assortment. Oh, okay. I know what we're doing now. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Going a little crazy here. So I'm about to bite into the sandwich. A low, loud rumble can be heard, along with the flash of light from outside. Ah, I take it the show has started. Only now, looking outside, I realize that dusk has come and gone, leaving us in the peak of twilight. Sparkling tracers, oh, I like that, yellow and red one. Sparking tracers arc upwards, ready to explode in the floral shape of fireworks. Let's go watch. Oh, sorry, Lily. Please, don't miss the show on my account. From what I've heard, this isn't a bad location to watch them from. With the exception of Lily, we rush to the window of the small tea house to watch the show. The strobe of colored lights plays across Hanako and Yuko's smiling faces, and for a second, I forget to look out the window. In this totally new world, there are a few things that don't change. I think that's why the school makes such a fuss over this festival. It's a chance to show the similarities between everyone. The show is over all too quickly. Fireworks are expensive, even for the most well-funded schools. Before we return to our tea and sandwiches, Hanako turns to me. Thanks for today. And tomorrow. That's okay. I don't think that I could have faced those crowds either. On days like this, it's more relaxing to spend some time away from everyone, don't you think? Yeah. Anyway, we've been delaying this tea for far too long now. Let's get back. Sure. We return to the booth and our light meal. That sounded impressive. Bigger than last year's, at least. Yeah, it was great. I've never seen them put on such a show. It gets better every year. I'm afraid, however, that during that time, the tea has gone cold. Oh no! Let me make some more. This is my fault. Calm down, Yuko. It's nobody's fault. Take a sip from my cup, just to prove the point. This tea isn't too bad cool anyway. It's like an iced tea. Really? Yes, really. If you add a bit of sugar, it's kinda nice. Are you sure? I'm positive. Now why don't you sit down and we'll finish this together. Okay. I don't even know what I'm doing with her voice at this point. It's terrible. I hate the sound of it. Whatever, I don't like Yuko that much either. Yuko doesn't seem convinced, but sits down regardless. She carefully measures out about 5 teaspoons of sugar and adds them to her tea. Ah, I said a bit of sugar. I know, but I like my tea sweet anyway. Curiously, I peer into her cup. As expected, hardly any of the sugar dissolves in the cold liquid. She stirs it twice before upturning the cup and drinking its contents, sugar and all, in a single mouthful. You're right. That's not bad at all. Good? I look back to Lily and Hanako, both of whom have finished their meal as I witness Yuko's personality in action. Not wanting to hold anyone up, I use her tactic and finish the remainder of my tea in a single swill. Well, then, it seems we're all finished. Should we head back now, or do we want seconds? Yuko's expression shows that this is quite clearly not a good idea. I think that it would be best if we got back soon. We do have to get back before curfew, after all. Oh, that is a good point. I'll meet you tomorrow, Yuko. I'll be looking forward to it, Lily. Goodbye, everyone. We make our way out of the small tea house, and into the dark of the night. Lily and Hanako once again take point, but under the cover of darkness, Hanako seems slightly less stressed than she did on the trip here. We move against the occasional group of people emptying the school grounds, but Hanako seems to lead us along a few minor roads, avoiding the bulk of the crowd. Outside the dorms, the school seems strangely quiet when compared to the noise of the day. Well then, thank you both for today. Think I learned a lot. Not really. I learned about one tea house. Learned I can still dominate at chess. That's about it. You're most welcome, but I'm afraid that I really must be going. Today's been a long day. That's right. Lily spent all of today on her feet, and I can imagine that walking outside of the school would be pretty tiring for her. I feel a pang of guilt as I remember that I was probably the only one in the school that got up around 10 this morning. Sure thing. Well, I'll see you both tomorrow. Good night. Good night, Hisao. Night. The girls returned to their dorm, and I to mine. Actually, now that I consider it, today tired me out as well. Is this it? Volume up. Oh, that's such a good song. Stop it, alarm clock. Yeah, that's how I wake up too. Except not at all, because if I did that, I'd just smash my phone, and that'd be very bad. That is my favorite song on the soundtrack, and I know that because I listened to the soundtrack at work one day just like 3 weeks ago. It's very, very good. And yeah, it's like such a short cutscene. It's like 60 seconds long, maybe 90 seconds. It's like, I don't know. I think that's one of the most powerful cutscenes in the game, honestly. If you didn't like it, maybe this game's not for you, but I think that sets the tone very well for the feels, because when the piano really picks up and Hanako's in the crowd, like, oh man, that sends shivers down my spine every time. It did it in this time too. Like, I can just hear that song and I'm just like, no, 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 she's so uncomfortable. Oh man, if I had played this game, actually I think I had, but if I had remembered about this game way back in my high school years, I could have learned to play piano, learned to play that song on piano, and then done that for one of our festivals, or not festivals, but one of our concerts. That would have been kind of cool, because I did like one semi-solo act with only drumline, but other than that, I was just in the band. Granted, I do have very embarrassing footage of me on the DVDs, because I looked like an idiot sometimes. Whatever, that's a rant for another day. I'm going to leave this episode here. I'm supposed to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time on Katawa Shoujo, goodbye.